You are right up my street.
Oh, you can't make me choose.
Igo by Toyota sponsors T4.
Fuck me, Lee Ryan's 13.
Marlene.
I remember we couldn't remember the word for table.
This is Your Welcome America, the podcast that explains what the bloody hell Brits are banging on about.
In every episode, we translate British pop culture for America.
And American pop culture for Britain.
You're
welcome.
Welcome. That's the echo.
We are recording from the Grand Canyon. Where are we?
We are in my new house.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Now, I did order a sofa mid-December. It still hasn't turned up. I keep getting emails about like shipping containers and things. And this very annoying woman called Monica, who is British and really like turns into, "Ayo, old chap," when she like talks to me, gives me non-update updates.
Is it the supply chain? Is it
Supply
that supply chain? Is that supply chain?
Yeah. So I've got no sofa. I don't have a rug yet. Well, the thing is, I can't do anything until I've got that bloody sofa, so we're in an echoey chamber.
I love it.
Great.
It's a gorgeous echoey chamber.
Thank you. It will be. It's getting there.
So we're back.
We are back.
People might think we've quit this podcast. We haven't. We've just had a weird few weeks. We both basically caught some kind of disease.
Yeah. And 2 days apart.
Yeah.
And then we're on a real journey together. It wasn't COVID.
No. We had a very kind of glamorous night out where we saw a couple of stars and then both fell very, very hard after that night out and haven't left the house for like weeks.
That's right. So we went to a fun club night called Otter Pop.
Yeah, we've talked about it before.
Otter Pop. And so I went into the bathroom at one point. The bathroom at a club to bathe. Go take a slash.
In the bogs.
In the bogs. I came out and you said to me, "Oh, Troye Sivan was peeing beside you there."
Yeah.
So there we go.
So Troye Sivan and did we see Sam Smith as well?
Sam Smith.
Yeah.
And also Demi Lovato's best friend, that gay guy, he's always there.
Oh, yes. Oh, and Simone, the
Oh,
drag queen
was
Simone,
there.
out of
Most
drag.
importantly,
Yeah.
perhaps. Yeah, the next day and onwards, we had like essentially 2 weeks of being sick.
Yeah, it was really wild. It felt like we were being punished for having a good time. It was really strange. I was like, oh, I'm a bit hungover from last night. And I was like, oh, I'm dying of something.
Yeah, I was so relieved that you had it as well.
Yeah, it was nice to be suffering with someone,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
I didn't really achieve much in my time. I watched about 3 seasons of Criminal Minds.
Okay, I actually, oh my God, I was going to be really annoying. I read a couple of books. Books. And then I rewatched a lot of Kathy Griffin's My Life in the D-List.
Oh, perfect.
Also, from afar, celebrated my father's 86th birthday.
Wow. Mm-hmm. My namesake.
86, my guy.
Awesome.
So that was going on. I've got 2 vanity updates for you.
Oh, please.
Well, you know this one. Finally had my Invisalign teeth things taken off.
Yep.
So I can have gum again.
Oh, so I have to watch you popping them in and out at meal times. Always a couple of things in a wad of tissue knocking around somewhere.
Don't throw it out. No, it's my bloody aligners. Don't throw them out. And I've got my second IPL this week. Second zap.
Just, remind us what your IPL journey is again.
Okay, so sun damage. I am of Scottish descent, but living in hot California. And obviously, I grew up in Spain. So this skin has had some damage. Had IPL to get rid of the skin damage. Worked well, but then I went skiing and I got my face burnt. And the sun damage came back.
Fun times.
Yeah.
It's a lot of nature we're hearing. It's like a bird sanctuary in here. I promise Ben's not living in an aviary, by the way. Aviary?
Aviary. I don't know, but they did actually, fun fact, film Bird Box in my garden.
Got it.
Yeah.
So I had what I'm, calling a very Silver Lake morning.
Okay.
So that's where I live. It's a very fun and annoying part of Los Angeles, full of really annoying people. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to talk you through some of the sights and sounds that I saw on my morning while I was doing my errands this morning. Someone boldly eating a Chipotle bowl as they walk down the street.
No.
And I just thought, that's not a portable food.
No. I mean, you could do a burrito. I wouldn't.
No, but a bowl with a fork.
I tell you, my friend's mom always used to have a thing about hating. She thought it was really tacky and distasteful if people ate and walked.
Yeah.
So the few times I have done it, even being on the other side of the world to my friend's mom, I was like, Hope she doesn't see me.
No, I know. I even used to think about it. Sometimes I used to sneak in when I lived in London. I used to do a little bit of secret eating. Not great, but like I'd sneak in like a packet of crisps and like eat that on the walk. Just I was like, what? I don't want people at home to see me eating these or at work. And I always felt a bit disgusting doing that. Anyway, I saw a girl eating a full Chipotle bowl on the street.
Okay.
A couple more things. One was a girl truly dressed like Hilary Duff as Lizzie McGuire, but she was obviously in her early 20s, wearing like an actual bandana, like on her head, and she was. With a group of really annoying people, and they were taking photos of an abandoned car seat left on like the street. I was like, oh, that's gonna really. I was like, well, that's gonna make a great piece of art for people to look at.
Do you know what? If we got that, we could print it out and put it on one of my many white walls in my house. That'd be lovely.
And then finally, I'm going to send you a quick picture. You might need to zoom in on this because I took this quite illegally while I was driving. This is someone who pulled in front of me in Silver Lake, driving what I'm describing as an artisan convertible. Can you see why I'm calling it an artisan convertible?
I don't really understand what's going on.
It was basically someone who's removed, to use a UK term, he'd just completely removed the boot of his car, and half of his car was just open.
And then kind of, but done it, like added like a rubber seal around it, so it looks like a professional job.
Yeah. It looks like he's ripped out the boot and the sunroof.
Yeah.
But it's not a convertible. So he's just basically the back of his car was just flapping open to the wind. So that was just my very Silver Lake morning.
What a day.
Coin a term.
Another day.
Whose car am I driving, you might ask? Don't worry about it.
Before we get into our feedback, we should say what on earth this podcast is about if we do have any new listeners. Every episode we take a British pop culture topic, we talk about it, just dissect it, discuss all sorts, work out the US equivalent. Then we take a US pop culture topic. I'm stumbling over my words in my cavernous space. And we work out the UK equivalent. Before we do that, let's do some feedback.
Just want to keep everyone abreast of something very related to this podcast. It's something we were talking about in our group chat text yesterday. We are 9 months out from Avatar 2. So everyone just stay on high alert, because when that happens, we are going to have our special, which is our Straight Brother special, where we're going to get our Straight Brothers reflections on Avatar 2.
Where my brother beams in using his Android phone.
Exactly. Podcast Nemesis Mike has a Straight Brother 2, and we're going to be getting his feedback.
Here's the first bit of feedback. So Wesley's got in touch. If you want to get in touch with us, do go to our Instagram. You are welcome, America. He said, I don't know if this is too far, but I'm 19 from Canada, and you two are the only ones in my life who help fuel my British pop love.
Yes!
Since we... He said, this is great. Since we can't clatter across cobblestones in spangly dresses, God. Wesley, ticking boxes. Can I follow you guys on Spotify? If you have it, I need to see these playlists. So you can indeed, if you go to our Spotify and you search You're Welcome America, you can see our playlist there.
Yes.
So do that.
It needs to be updated. I feel like we've had a few episodes pass since I've been throwing extra songs on there, but I'll tell you, it's about 1 million hours of real pop pleasure. I'm 19, listening to these old crones.
Thanks, Wesley. Really appreciate it.
Okay, we have a couple of confusing things. One is a technological thing that I've messed up. So Me Against the Podcast, they have messaged us, and they actually gave us a great piece of intel that I fucked up by not being able to use technology. So they said, I'm re-listening to the Off the Record series. Re-listening, which makes me very happy.
So just as a reminder, that is us following the smash hit 2008 show Girls Loud Off the Record. Go check it out. We recap every episode. We go deep.
Yeah, we created hours of entertainment from just literal handfuls of footage. We managed to really stretch that out.
Wait, I said 2008. Is that right?
I don't know.
Can't remember. I think it's early.
Girls. And they said I'm re-listening, so they've already listened to it once, which is amazing too. Off the Record series, and regarding the Jungle Step, I think this is what it is. And then they sent a video, which I think in my haze at some point I tried to watch and then just closed, thinking, I'll close this and show it to Ben. But because Grandma over here doesn't know how to use social media. Wesley, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you could only watch it once. No, I'm saying Wesley's young.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I didn't want to embarrass myself in front of Wesley, who's 19 listening to this. But Grandma didn't realize that once you watch a video once on Instagram, you can't watch it again.
Also, you should know, I did check out Wesley's Instagram, and he's been out this weekend. Very hip.
Oh,
I know.
Love you, Wesley. So sorry, Me Against the Podcast. Grandma over here fucked it up, and whatever that evidence was of the Jungle Step. What's the Jungle Step?
I think the Jungle Step, isn't it in Sound of the Underground?
No.
Isn't it when they're in... Wait, I put my hand up.
Okay.
Aren't they in Ibiza and they've got the wrong mix of
Yes.
Sound of the Underground? They're like, oh, but we're gonna have to like not do the jungle step. We're gonna have to do the jungle step, something like
Yes,
that.
you're right.
Doom, doom, doom.
Another confusing bit of feedback. I'm just going to do my confusing ones in a row. Victoria on Instagram, I think what happened here is she was listening to the Kylie episode, which did feature podcast nemesis Michael.
Got it.
And she sent us a weird and wonderful video from her Instagram story, which is her in a car wash listening to Kylie Minogue. And she's tagged us and podcast nemesis Michael. And she says, Team Podcast Nemesis and Kylie Forever. So I think she's just pledging her allegiance to podcast nemesis Michael in that. Interesting.
And she's
Interesting.
Which Kylie song is she listening to? Oh,
It's actually a beautiful piece of footage, slow playing while a car, like inside of a car wash. It's actually pretty great.
we have had Jennifer Cole in London get in touch on our Instagram. So I posted the picture of myself and producer Bree at the Rose Bowl flea market, and she said, "I thought that was Emily Atack in the background."
What?
So I think she thinks that producer Bree looks like Emily Atack.
Emily Atack. What a name.
Yeah.
From-
Can you describe to our US listeners who Emily Atack is?
She was on the In-Betweeners, right?
What's she done since?
Great question.
Couldn't tell you. Emily
She's an
Atack.
actress.
Yeah, there you go. Finally, I believe we've got a review. If you do want to rate and review us, please do on the pod shops. Where can you do it? Apple Podcasts.
Apple Podcasts. I think you can do it on Spotify now, but again, Grandma doesn't know how to access the reviews, so please don't do it there because I can't have another thing on my list. So this review's quite wonderful.
Okay.
It is from someone called Zachary Adam.
Hi.
And it's 5 stars, and the subject line is very educational. Just thinking about all the stuff we've talked about so far. Sorry. and Zachary said, found this podcast through the Right Back at Your Dark Child special.
Nice.
So he's obviously a Right Back at Your listener. We love those guys. And I became obsessed ever since. As an American who has always loved UK pop music and culture, this podcast is a must. Love the banter and the tangents. Tangents? And he says, P.S. I also have a Sad About Myself playlist and have also been to the Loft in Norwich. Cheers, Zachary Adam from San Francisco.
So
Is this man my soulmate?
So how on earth has this man, Zachary, living in San Francisco, been to the Loft in Norwich?
Yeah, Zachary, if you're listening to this episode, get in touch with us and let us know. I need details about this visit to the Loft and how someone from San Francisco was ever in Norwich. That really worries me.
Oh, also, Zachary, do get in touch because actually you and I are going to be with our good pal Crystal in San Francisco in a couple of weeks.
Yes, that's true.
So actually we should do a whole episode about San Francisco.
We'll take it on the road.
San Francisco special. In the Bay. We're going to be in the Bay. We're going to be in the bridge. Zachary, do get in touch with any recommendations for us.
I mean, we've covered it all. IPL, Avatar 2.
Don't know what to say to that.
We can leave it at that.
And we are back. We're going to do our first topic, which is going to be American. Babes, it's on you. What are you doing?
So I am going to be discussing one of the many, we've talked about, Homecoming. We've talked about some American kind of things that are a real staple of our childhood watching American TV and media.
Yep.
I decided to really fry my brain on a Sunday morning and try and research sororities and fraternities, but whatever, mainly sororities. So I guess you could call this, Greek life or the Greek system at American colleges. So that's what I'm going to be talking about. It's actually really weird and has some real dark tangents, so we're going to just try and keep it light.
And also, I'm going to give a shout out now to Victoria, one of our listeners. Do get in touch because she was in a sorority.
Oh, I mean, this is the problem is if I'd thought of this sooner, I would have reached out to some of our American friends to try and get some sorority
goss.
or fraternity stuff. But I want people to get in touch with us and just let us know.
I'm excited about how wrong you're going to get this.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm really, really, really concerned. So just for anyone who's not experienced watching it, who's in the UK, who's experienced it through watching like TV or movies, fraternities and sororities are referred to as Greek letter organizations, or collectively as Greek life, in North America and the Philippines, of course. They're social organizations at colleges and universities. And just to give you a quick overview of apparently what they're meant to be, fraternities is, it's really hard to say sororities.
Sororities.
In an English accent. Fraternities and sororities engage in philanthropic activities, host parties, provide finishing training for new members, such as instruction on etiquette, dress, and manners, and create networking opportunities for their newly graduated members. Doesn't sound so good when you hear it like that, does it?
I also don't believe any of that. As in, like, that's not what happens. Everyone just gets drunk and, like, has questionable sex.
Well, so... Why did I quack like a duck then?
Did.
So this aviary that we're in, there's all these birds turned into like an avian creature. It's all very confusing.
What would you do? What would you do if in my new house I got a parrot?
Oh my God, I'd be so angry if you got a bird in this house.
You know that parrot would have a real thing against you.
Of course it would. It would know that I hate birds.
So she walked in the door.
What would you call it?
On your shoulder. What would I call it? One with me. Something like Claire.
Claire. Well, it's locked in. Claire the parrot.
Claire the parrot. Anyway.
So I'll give you a couple of dry facts, then we'll get into something more interesting. So I wanted to know just why fraternities and sororities are named after Greek letters and given Greek letter combinations.
Yeah. And
it's actually kind of reflects how annoying the whole society is. Basically, the founding members, like the very first sorority or fraternity, when they founded it, it basically was a secret society, and they were so snobby. Sorry, I don't want to get you too excited here. No, because I know I like calling you a snob. No, they were so kind of snobby that they basically said that only intelligent people would understand the Greek letters that they were using. So it was basically like a secret code.
That's fair.
Omega, beta, zeta.
But I just find that kind of funny because now being in a fraternity or sorority is seen as kind of a little vapid, and then you've got these kind of people who are like saying Greek letters.
Omega, beta, zeta.
And those Greek letters and words have become so American sounding that like it's like synonymous with certain things.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of, that's a little bit of like the snobbiness. So before I go into some of the actual kind of details of it, I just wanted to talk about like, what's your kind of, when you think of sorority, what's like the first thing that comes into your head in terms of like movies, TV, music, whatever?
The House Bunny.
Oh, no, it's just this thing I do to remember people's names. Natalie.
What a masterpiece of cinema is The House Bunny.
I think I saw that in the cinema translation movie theater with podcast nemesis Michael. I think.
Wow.
I think, maybe? Or was that before? No. Anyway, I think of House Bunny, and that makes me think of him, so...
I actually can't really remember the plot of House Bunny. I know that she goes into a sorority.
Faris. It's Anna Faris, right?
Anna Faris.
Sorry,
isn't that what
Anna
we'd call her?
Faris.
Yeah, and it's her going into a sorority. It's like a kind of downtrodden sorority, right? And she has to like zhuzh it up. Pretty sure that's the exact log line.
Imagine
Anna Faris zhuzhes up.
That's our elevator pitch.
Yeah. It's that, and then actually that kind of amazing opening sequence of Legally Blonde is a real sorority house, because is it the note that's getting passed to her, and it's like getting passed by all the different sorority sisters through the house. This is future Frazer. I can't believe I didn't mention that opening sequence features the song Perfect Day by Hoku. Anyway, who cares? Bye.
Something like that.
I feel like I've seen that quite recently, and it's kind of locked in my brain. But it's basically, it's him leaving the invitation to dinner, and it's like shows that all the different sorority sisters like running through the sorority house, and it finally lands with Elle Woods. And I do remember seeing that and being like, what is this world? I was like, I want to be in this world. And that hasn't literally, anytime I've seen a fraternity in a movie or a TV show, I'm like, ugh, horrible. But like, especially in that movie, because they're all wearing like early 2000s, like leopard print and like fluffy jackets and things. I was like, I want to be with those girls. I still do.
What about in the later seasons of Dawson's Creek? Remember, didn't Jack McPhee, didn't he, like when he was having real struggles with his sexuality, my God, Jack McPhee, if the character Jack McPhee was on like Grindr or something, he'd be like mask for mask, wouldn't he?
Jack McPhee is such a mask for mask. Yeah, you know he's still got a chip on his shoulder. Well, remember when they flashed forward to the future?
What was going on with him? Like
in the final episode, he's like still like mask for mask, him and his boyfriend.
Oh, were they?
Do you not remember when they flashed ahead? Do you remember there was always that running joke that Pacey called his brother gay? Do you remember? So like it was actually kind of well done. They basically, the whole show was Pacey insinuating that his brother was gay, and then in that flash forward episode at the end, Jack is with him,
and Jen's dead.
And Jen's dead.
Jen's dead.
I know that literally, as we speak, hearing the Where's Dawson's Creek finale that Call Us to Charlie is in floods of tears. I know that she watches that episode maybe once a year and just sits and cries.
Lovely.
It's a real catharsis for her, I think.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else in. What about, was Van Wilder party liaison?
Yes.
Okay.
Now that was, I don't know about you, but that was a really pretty early days. I think Ryan Reynolds really turned me on in an early days way in Van Wilder. And that kind of was one of those movies that kind of felt a bit like, you were like, oh, I think I can kind of get away with, like, if you're trying not to be too gay as a teenager or whatever, you're like, oh, just watch Van Wilder, it's fine.
Yeah, because it's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. It's about like...
Oh, yeah, I love this movie. It's just really fun.
Yeah.
It's a funny
I think
movie.
I think the
He's
joke,
funny, actually.
The jokes
isn't
are
he?
really
He's
funny. Yeah,
Unfit.
Yeah, like, oh, I love Ryan Reynolds.
Meanwhile, now, Ryan Reynolds
Doesn't do it for me. No.
Ever since he did that stupid slapstick superhero bullshit Deadpool thing, I'm like, get away from me.
I like Deadpool. Deadpool 2 is actually really funny. Yeah, he's a bit of a bland slice of Canadian beef, isn't he?
Yeah.
Canadian beef? Canadian bacon.
Canadian moose?
Yeah.
Like a bit of moose meat?
Yeah. Well, did you ever see the remake of House on Sorority Row that starred Audrina?
Was Paris Hilton in that?
No, that was House of Wax.
Okay, sorry, different house. That was it's across the street.
Yeah. No, that was melting across the street while Audrina... So Sorority Row was a wonderful remake, 2000s remake of I think it was a remake of like a slasher movie. But Audrina plays, it's all about like a prank gone wrong. And it's about a girl getting murdered for real. And
I think I did see that.
Audrina played the girl that gets murdered. So they get rid of her. They're pretty smart. They get rid of her pretty quick.
Yeah,
but
we'll give her a part, but we're going to fucking kill her early.
From what I remember, she did a pretty good job.
And meanwhile, like, her agent's like, you're the star. You get murdered. you're
the whole movie's about you, Audrina. Yeah, and she's like, turns up on set. She's like, I've done one day of shooting. What's happening?
I think I'm done. You can hang out if you want. There's a chair over there with your name on it. Just sit and watch.
So there's a couple of things terms that I didn't quite understand that I feel like I need to clarify. Mm-hmm. So one of them is to do with how new members join a sorority.
So is this the hazing thing, or is that more fraternity?
Hazing is more fraternity, but I also feel like it's kind of sexist. Hazing does count for both of them. They just... fraternities got into more trouble for hazing because they took it too far. But basically, what I was always confused with is I've consumed so much American media that I know there's the term rush, pledge...
Oh, yeah.
Hell Week, all of those things, but I never quite understood what that means.
Isn't Hell Week at Barry's boot camp?
Yes, they also do it at Barry's boot camp. So basically what it is to join a sorority, you have to go through a 2-part vetting process, which is called rushing and pledging.
Rushing makes me just think of loads of people like rushing towards a trestle table where someone's like, you can sign up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, or like that feels like a Drag Race mini challenge, isn't it? Where they're like, you can use these supplies from this table, and everyone just runs at like a rack of clothes. Yeah, no. So rushing is essentially recruitment, and that's basically the sororities. This is so confusing, and I'm definitely gonna fuck this up. This is gonna be like homecoming all over again, but I'm not getting anything right.
Nightmare. Remember that picnic?
Oh, that picnic stuff. I bet there's a fucking picnic involved in this.
Yeah.
So what it is so basically the sororities hold parties and social events.
Okay.
And people attend them, and those people are rushing. So it's basically, they're all rushing to get to these parties, but it's basically, they attend those events, and I think you attending that event is you saying, I'm interested in joining this sorority. And I think you chat to the sorority sisters. Okay. And you like get to know them, and they know that you're like, oh, I'm interested in this sorority. So that's rush. So it's like rush events, rush week. This is where we're getting a little confusing. So basically, then it says that the sororities members meet privately and vote whether they should extend an invitation to these people, known as a bid. So you have to rush, and then they get together and say, we're going to bid for you. Okay. And then if you choose to accept it, you're being pledged to the sorority. You're still not a sorority member, you're a pledge at this point. So it goes normal person, rush, bid, pledge. Then you become a sister at the end of pledging.
Wait, so what happens at pledging?
So pledging is when you have to basically prove that you should be in the sorority, and that's when we get into like hazing and things that happen to pledges.
Okay.
And I think we see a lot of that in like American movies, and I'm not quite sure how real any of that stuff is. I think it might be pretty real.
Yeah, I think it is.
Let's just talk about hazing real quick, but we'll just kind of, I don't want to dwell on it because it has some darkness in it. But I think, yeah, part of like I think it's fraternities more than sororities, but it sounds like basically what you do is, it's like different, you have to like prove your loyalty to the sorority or the fraternity, and you kind of have to do like weird tasks or dress up in like an outfit. I think those are the milder things. There's some like darker stuff that I don't think we should touch because it might be too much. Common hazing practices include sleep deprivation, sensory deprivation, paddling. Oh, and other types of spanking. I was like, oh, like a paddling pool.
Yeah, waterboarding in a paddling pool.
I like this one. Forced runs, busy work. And then it says there are some more extreme ones that kind of that actually do go back to these kind of secret society rituals. That's the kind of the weird thing.
Wonder what busy work is. Like, just like, could you just... do you know what? I could do... Well, in my house, it's like breaking down some boxes, putting them in the bins.
But what do college students... What's the busy work you needed when you were at uni? It's like...
Get your car washed?
Oh, I'll tell you what, my busy work would have been at my uni. Would have been like, definitely people don't have this problem now because of technology, but mine was going to print out essays at the library. Oh, what a hassle. You'd have to find your library card. And then there was this very complicated system of putting money onto a card to print things out. And there was never enough money on my card, and it was always such like and I think the thing only took cash. It was really complicated. So that would be my busy work.
My busy work would be, do you know what? Before anyone, could you go reserve my key texts at the library? Did you have that? It'd be like, so this week you're studying whatever, and there'd be like some key texts. But if you didn't get in there first, and you could only get them for like 2 days because they were key texts.
And you have to be on the reserve list.
I'd be like, can you just go like do them all for me and just get it done and then bring them back, and I'll just do it. And then they bring them back and I wouldn't read them.
Of course not.
No.
So actually, all of our busy work would be doing things revolving around the library. The library was really annoying. I feel like reserving a computer was really annoying as well, because not all of us had laptops at the time.
Oh, I had a chunky hunky Toshiba.
Oh, I had the clunkiest laptop in my third year that I used to play Tomb Raider on instead of doing my essays.
Fun.
I don't even think I had Word on it. I think I played Tomb Raider on my laptop and then had to go and write my essays in the library, which is so dumb.
I remember in our library you could book private rooms, and it'd always be, people having sex in the private rooms, but I just wasn't really sexually liberated then. Like, but now I'd be like, that'd be so fun.
Yeah. I know someone who had sex in the library at my uni.
Private room.
Oh yeah, I was way too repressed to do that.
There was also a section in my library that had those moving, back to horror movies, those moving shelves that went.
Those are so horror movie, like the stacks.
Yes.
Isn't that what they call them, like the stacks? Oh, that's so exciting. The kind of the final thing is when you finally are accepted into the sorority, they have like secret ceremonies, and I think there's a lot of like lies and deception that are kind of. I think everyone gets really freaked out that they're going to get literally like buried alive or something. Yeah. But it sounds like what they do is just like almost like Halloween kind of pranks.
It'll be like putting a hood over someone's head and pushing them off a step and telling you being pushed off a building. Right. That kind of crap. Well, which is terrifying.
That's actually pretty scary. Like I heard it was in someone's like autobiography or like memoir or whatever. Maybe it was Mindy Kaling or someone. And she said it was like a Halloween thing where they had to put their hands in bowls of. They were told they were like bowls of like eyeballs and worms.
Pickled onion.
Yeah, and it was just like eggs or something. And then she said that they just had like pizza in the basement of the sorority house afterwards.
Do you think our secret ceremony would definitely involve us getting some gauzy materials and like just wafting around to a Girls Loud track?
Oh, of course. Or like our great podcast nemesis Michael prank that we pulled.
When we woke him up one night after a night out with gauzy material and candles. Singing Beautiful Because You Love Me. My baby.
The Smash Top 100 hit Beautiful Because You Love Me.
97.
That was it. My baby. I do remember he did say that he was really annoyed but also really appreciated the artistry of what we were doing.
Great.
Where did you even have gauzy material in your old flat in London? What was that?
For some reason, I had some white gauzy material, and it was from a costume or something. I can't remember. Always had it.
So I got very overwhelmed trying to find famous people that had been in sororities because it's really confusing because there's a sorority and then there's chapters. So a sorority is attached to like a university, but then you can have a chapter in a different university. So I just found it really hard to get a definitive list, so I got very overwhelmed. So what I ended up doing instead was just doing a very, very off-brand quiz that would determine which sorority I would be in. So I answered some really wild questions. One where I definitely didn't portray myself very well, but I answered honestly.
And you got in.
And it came in at Kappa Kappa Gamma.
Omega Beta Zeta.
You're Kappa Kappa Gamma.
So I'm Kappa Kappa Gamma. So I'll just tell you real quick. I share my Kappa Kappa Gamma sisterhood with just a few people. It's an odd bunch.
Okay.
It's like Ashley Judd of one of my favorite movies, Double Jeopardy star Ashley Judd, Meghan Markle, and then the most important person of all, just tucked away in the list, Lo Bosworth. Oh yeah.
Oh my God, she would be terrifying.
Could you imagine turning up? Imagine pledging. Imagine it's during Rush and you want to pledge and you pledge to Kappa Kappa Gamma and Lo Bosworth is the sorority sister.
Lo's like,
I'd be so fucking scared of her. I'd leave university.
well, you burst into flames.
I'd burst into flames, or I'd just turn to stone. I'd be a statue on campus.
You'd be a gargoyle in the gorgeous grounds of the Kappa Kappa Gamma house.
Exactly. They'd be like, "What's that?" And it'd be like, "Oh, that's one of the Lo did that."
Don't worry about that. It's one of Lo's works of art. I didn't know she was a sculptor. She isn't. The thing that I never understood was, do they all live in like a giant house?
Yes.
Those houses must be huge.
Yeah. So those houses are giant, and then they basically that's a big part of it is you live in that house, and then that's meant to be a part of the community of it all. But to me, it just seems so messy.
Well, my instant question was, is there a cleaner?
Is there a cleaner? Yeah. And, well, because I think they do have clean, and I think they have you have someone that lives there that's technically used to be called like a house mother. And I do think you have an older person that lives there that's meant to regulate things. So I don't have too much more to talk about fraternities. Well, really sororities essentially is what I've talked about. I'm guessing if you took that quiz, you'd probably end up in the same sorority as me, judging by what I was reading.
I'm the leader of it, but the sounds of things.
Yeah, you and Lo Bosworth cutting eyes at me and making me quit university. So I was trying to think of the British equivalent of this.
Okay, I'm gonna before you give me your thoughts, can I give a couple of suggestions?
Yes.
Okay, I've got two for you.
Okay.
One is if you went to a uni that had colleges. So, for example, my uni, it was made up of like 8 colleges, as in like you existed in Halifax College,
Right.
but you were still a university.
Yeah.
So you all lived in loads of houses in Halifax College, but you all
Right.
competed against other colleges. Or my other one was houses at a boarding school, which I know goes towards Hufflepuff,
Right.
Harry, whatever.
Yeah.
But there's an element of it there as well. But at a boarding school, you actually are living there.
Yeah. No,
Those are my 2 thoughts.
So stick with me on this. I feel like if you kind of extrapolate what it means to be in a sorority or fraternity, it's like a badge. It's like kind of being cool and popular, but also kind of pretending to hold a position of power.
So like me when I was a house captain at school.
Yes. So I think, and I like your terms, but I do think because you are a little more highfalutin than the rest of us that the colleges thing might be a little more of an exclusive thing. Whereas I think every university has a student union. And don't you think that every single person that like runs for a student union position, especially at my university, it was always about being like the head of entertainment at the student union. And that was like the position to be, and you had a lot of power and you controlled what social events happened. I do think those people had a weird amount of power.
It was weird at my university. My university was fucking lame, but and not high convoluting, polluting, otherworldly, which I know is surprising. But because at my uni, the student union, just to explain to our American listeners, the student union is like at a high school class president and all that kind of stuff.
It's exactly the
and
class president.
And they would always like run all the social events and things and represent the university. But in my uni, they were always a bit losery. As in, because they were the ones that like they would often stay longer, like do another couple of years, and all their friends in year had left, but they were still there being president of the student union.
Yeah, that's true. And now you're saying that, I'm scrolling back through my mind and thinking there's a few undesirables that were holding positions of power there. But I think for my uni, it was this entertainment like person, really specifically. That was an odd popularity contest that
Got
happened.
it. What did they do? What were they responsible for?
Like all the social events. They put together the summer ball, which was our big thing. Oof. They would organize like the entertainment for Freshers Week. They would organize like different themes for our Friday night at the union called the Bop. And like that felt like a real position of power, and it had a really big impact on kind of our lives, because that's all we did was go out and socialize. And they would like find new nights that we could go to as like a university. You know what I mean? They'd be
What, like and book a
Fez
coach?
Club. Yeah.
Book a coach to go to. My God, did you say the Fez Club?
Yeah, Fez Club in Putney. That's where we used to go on a Tuesday night. Love to know if that place still exists. I very much doubt it.
I'm sure there were a few Fez clubs.
There were.
Yeah.
There was one in Wimbledon too.
I think there was one in Oxford.
Really questionable like theming.
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
kind of like a Marrakesh kind of themed bar and called Fez. That's
And there
really
was one
bad.
in Reading. I've been to the one in Reading, and I've been to the one in Oxford. It's the Fez Club in
Fez
Reading.
Club in Reading. That's really grim.
Yeah, so they would maybe book like the coach for that
Yeah,
kind of thing. And when I say
exactly.
coach, American listeners, I mean bus.
Yeah.
Okay, so that makes sense to me. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there we go. The very specific UK equivalent of a sorority or fraternity is the head of entertainment at the student union.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Omega Beta Zeta.
And we are back. I did the very weird American topic. Please get in touch with your sorority stories. And Ben has our British topic. What do you got for me, babes?
My UK topic today is comic relief.
Ah,
Red Nose Day. So on Saturday morning, I was in bed and I found on YouTube a celeb special of a TV show called This Is My House. Have you ever seen that?
no.
So it's a show where four people in a house all pretend it's their house, and a panel have to guess whose house is it really. That's the show.
That name is very funny.
Yeah. So
This is my house.
This is my house. So they did a celebrity special for Comic Relief. It had Judge Rinder on it, Claire from Steps, Deborah Meaden, and a boxer who I do not know, and they were on
What's
it.
his name?
I don't know. But on the panel were, and we've already gone off on a tangent because I haven't even explained what Comic Relief / Red Nose Day is. But on the panel is Harry Hill, Fringy Chops, aka
Claudia
Claudia
Winkleman.
Winkleman, Chris Eubank, who doesn't understand what's going on, and then I've forgotten what her name is as well. Anyway, so
So funny. As I was asking Ben a question about it, and he was just scrolling through, like, you know, scrubbing through the episode, and all I could hear was the most British TV things. It was like, blink, 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 blonk. I'm not being funny, but blink, blink, blink. All right, mate. Sounded fake.
a trumpet. So, Comic Relief, Red Nose Day.
Yeah.
Go to the Wikipedia. It happens every 2 years.
Yes.
Although now it's actually every year. They've changed it.
Okay.
But started in 1985 between Richard Curtis and Lenny Henry in response to the famine in Ethiopia. And essentially, it's a telethon.
Yeah.
It's a massive telethon. And what they often do is they get much loved TV shows and they do specials. They release charity singles, which we will get to. And it's like a whole night of live TV where you phone in and raise money. You might do stuff in advance, like that week at your school, you might do like a, what we call cake and candy, like a bake sale.
Yeah. Bring him by.
Non-uniform day, all sorts
Mufti
of...
Day.
What?
Mufti Day.
Mufti Day.
Have we not had we must have had this conversation a million times before.
So that's what your non-uniform day was.
There's a term that it and it's not, this isn't a British Scottish thing. This is like very regionally specific, but like there's no rhyme or reason to it. Some people called it non-uniform day, and some people inexplicably it was called Mufti Day. MUFTI.
And also to explain to American listeners, non-uniform days, you paid like £1.50 and you didn't have to wear your uniform that day.
Yeah.
And it was a nightmare at my school because it meant that it just turned into like this fashion show thing where everyone was like judging everyone about what they were wearing. Horrible.
I've just come across an article that says, why is Mufti Day offensive?
No.
Oh, school drops the term Mufti Day due to the history of racism. Oh, interesting. It's actually derived from an Arabic word, and actually it's used it really in an offensive way. Interesting.
There you are.
Well,
The more you know.
what a shock that a school in Norfolk used an outdated racist term. What a surprise.
In the 90s.
In the 90s, yeah. Shocker.
So back to Comic Relief / Red Nose Day. Well, Red Nose Day, here's the thing. It would always happen on a Friday night. Often the fundraising involved buying a red nose.
Yes.
Do you remember the different red noses growing up?
It's all a blur.
Yeah.
I just remember it was always a stressful experience trying to get one.
Oh, really? My favorite ones I remember were the ones that changed color with the heat. Do you remember that? Although never comfy to wear.
No, they always would pinch.
Yeah.
Even with those tiny little children's noses.
Horrible. adorable.
I didn't have this honker that I have right now. I wouldn't be able to get a red nose over this.
Oh,
Well, these like foam, when they did the soft foam ones, they
that's
would always fit
nice.
on, that would fit on my honker
You could
now.
just paint your nose red.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that big prosthetic nose you put on as a joke. That's my real nose.
It's my nose.
It's my real nose.
And I remember this was not my family or my parents, but you could also buy them for your car. Do you remember those?
Yeah, not my family either.
No, it's like the people who in the States who would put like reindeer horns on the side of cars.
Right.
Like to be like, it's Christmas. Not my family.
No, me neither.
I remember my mum specifically being like, no, we're not those people. And we weren't. So, the color changing noses, I remember. They also had fun ones, like springy ones. I remember one
Right.
year with like things on. I remember one year you had to buy 3D glasses because some of the telethon was in 3D, which is very exciting.
It's nothing more unreliable than 3D technology. I feel even now. Do you remember that 3D revival that happened with, funny to say it, Avatar, to bring it all back to Avatar? And I felt like that heralded that really weird 3D revival. And even then, it did work, but it still gave me a headache.
It went away.
It went away again.
Yeah.
Oh, it gave me a real headache. I got such a headache watching Avatar.
I didn't even see Avatar in the cinema.
Oh, you didn't?
Saw a video.
It's very overwhelming in the cinema with the 3D glasses. It was too much. It was actually too much of a sensory experience for me.
I'm sure I've told you about the time Colin, Michael, and I went to see the re-release of Star Wars Episode 1.
Oh, in 3D.
It was in 3D, and it was in IMAX, and we got really high before we went, and it was very overwhelming. And when Amidala came and screamed, we all cheered, and no one understood why. Anyway, I have found a phrase, well, I was going to say a phrase, maybe from like 7 years ago, a listicle.
Oh.
And it's the funniest Red Day moments in comic relief history. We'll be the judge of that.
Yeah.
There's David Tennant with Catherine Tate. Not interested in that, are we?
No, not funny, never was funny.
When Ali G met the Beckhams. Now, we're
That's
interested in half
iconic.
of this.
That is an
Yeah.
iconic interview.
So in that interview, do you remember what happened?
Yes. Well, there's that one quote that's like the same, the one quote they use whenever they talk about that. And it was basically, is it on the set of Parkinson, the talk show? It's the Parkinson set, isn't it? And he's
Maybe.
sitting in for Michael Parkinson, the host. And he's interviewing David and Victoria. And he says to David, they're talking about their kids. And he says, so David, do you want your kids to grow up to be a famous footballer like you, or grow up to be a famous pop star like Madonna?
Yeah.
And like Victoria's like, ah, ha, 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 ha. That's like the one joke I remember from that interview.
And then
I'm not doing his accent.
And then he says, asks Posh something like, oh, do you want like something about your little boy? And what about your son? Like referring to something like that. So that's very important to us. Graham Norton speaks to Borat. No, we're not doing it. Mr. Bean does Blind Date. Now we're interested in, I just want to, Scylla's outfit here.
You know how much I hate Mr. Bean.
I know you hate Mr.
I have
Bean.
a real problem with Mr. Bean.
Scylla is wearing a lime green pantsuit.
Ooh.
And she looks phenomenal.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm interested in seeing just that, but you know how I feel about Mr. Bean? I don't like chaos. I don't like chaos, and I don't like chaotic characters. You know how I feel about the movie Beethoven?
Just so messy.
I'm on the side of the dad and those weird evil business people that are trying to take Beethoven away. I'm all on their side.
Why do they want to take Beethoven away?
Couldn't tell you.
Is it like a Cruella de Vil thing? Cruella de Vil, I have to say, anytime I've rewatched 101 Dalmatians, I'm like, make the coat.
Yeah, have you seen that great scene in the actual cartoon where she's in bed with her hair in rollers, essentially smoking like opium, and she's eating out of a box of chocolates, and her phone rings. I think it's like in the shape of like something to do with like the devil. She has like an evil devil phone, and she's just in bed eating chocolates and smoking. So chic.
Okay, another moment, the Royal Family Comic Relief Special. That's a maybe for me.
Yeah, it's like sentimental, and yeah, that's kind of it. Yeah.
But the one I really remember very well is, do you remember Dawn French kissing Hugh Grant?
That was because it was a tradition on the show that it was every year, it was some like contrived situation where she would come on stage and it would be about her having to make out snog, translation.
Snog.
Like whoever is like the hunk of the time, right? And it started with Hugh Grant.
Because it was all like 4 weddings time.
Yes.
So in 94, 95 we're talking. And in it, she's on a couch and she's dressed in the Liz Hurley Versace safety pin dress. Phenomenal.
So good.
So those are some real highlights. Do you have any others you want to add? Were you like a comic relief household growing up? Would you stay up and watch comic relief?
Yes, for sure. It was on the list of the many like gay mother and son activities that me and my mum would do together. My dad and my brother wouldn't participate, but it was like comic relief, Eurovision. We would like watch those things together, basically. I did see recently on like some Hun account, they were reposting an EastEnders kind of musical moment.
Oh.
Have you ever seen that?
No, but that's a classic. Like
So that's a real comic relief thing. So it's for any American listeners, obviously EastEnders is the long-running BBC soap opera, and it would be like they would film like a music video on the set of EastEnders with all the cast and characters singing a song. I'm gonna just play you this one that I saw on the.
It doesn't matter what you wear, just as long as you are there. So come on, every guy, grab a girl, everywhere around the world, they'll be dancing.
some real highlights from that. Patsy Palmer.
Oh, Daniela Westbrook, an unexpected Daniela Westbrook Sido in a Patsy Palmer kind of trio.
That really reminds me when we would at our school, high school, we would we're in 4 houses. You're all different houses, Hufflepuff, Slytherin, whatever. And you would have like each one would have a fundraising week.
Oh,
and you'd have a charity. My house, when I was leading it, raised the most money, of course. But you'd always like get the teachers to like, oh, do a funny bit.
Yes,
that's exactly what that felt like.
You're so right. It's very your teachers doing a bit at the end of like a school year. It's like, the teachers are going to put on a show.
Talking of bits.
Yeah.
Many years going, they released a comic relief single to raise money for charity. So we've got some real corkers going on here.
Okay.
Footprints in the Sand, Leon Lewis. No. And Gold Forever by The Wanted. Do you remember that song?
Oh, God, I do remember that song. The Wanted, great boy band with one of the most inexplicable named songs of all time, Walks Like Rihanna.
Oh, yeah.
She can't sing, she can't dance, but who cares? She walks like Rihanna.
Rihanna's walk's not famous.
Not at all.
Like Naomi Campbell,
Yeah.
yes. Not Rihanna. I mean, we had some that we don't want to talk about, like Do You Know the Way to Amarillo, all this kind of stuff. But most importantly for us, well, actually second most importantly for us, okay, third most importantly for us, side note, we had Spirit in the Sky, Gareth Gates, Some Girls, Rachel Stevens.
Yeah, oh yeah. We talked about
discussed
that
that.
in her episode, yeah.
Now, we had Walk This Way.
What? Walk this way, you want to talk this way. Walk this way, you want to talk this way. Walk this way, walk this way.
So that was Sugar Babes versus Girls Aloud.
Oh, I mean, we definitely talked about that in
in
both Sugar Babes and Girls Aloud specials, right?
We've gone into that deep. Now, I remember the year I was working on the show
Yeah.
because I helped out one year, and the song that year was it's a Depeche Mode cover. Just can't get enough. Who was that?
Bum 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 ba ba bum bum bum. The Saturdays.
We're talking about the stars of Chasing the Saturdays from E! Entertainment. It's the Saturdays.
Yes. Yeah, and I just remember they were all dressed in kind of like fun white hot pants and like. This is future Frazer. I couldn't have been more wrong about the performance. I urge everyone to check it out. It involves men fake playing synthesizers and some insane eyelashes and real clunker-lunk choreography. Love the sats. Dun 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 dun.
But classic Saturdays, it was very like, and move, clunk, clunk, strut, dum, dum.
I mean, if you ever want an example of me only liking a song by a cover version of a song, it would be how I would only ever listen to the Saturdays cover of that song. I don't want to hear the Depeche Mode original. That feels like a real Akbar number, that does, the original.
I just want to let you know that I was in rehearsals watching them. I tell you what, they definitely give more in the real performance than the rehearsal. That's all I seem to remember about that.
Really marking it.
I know.
When I'm with you, baby. You know that song is going to haunt me for a whole evening now. I'm really annoyed with you.
I know him so well. Someone did a cover of that, including Susan Boyle. It was like a whole cast of people.
Oh, excuse me?
Doing I Know Him So Well.
Yep.
Love Can Build a Bridge.
Yep.
That was Cher.
That was.
Do you remember that? I'm really leading up to something
I get
particular.
Love Can Build a Bridge mixed up with...
Walking in Memphis?
No, with the... Love, shine a light to every
Katrina and the
corner
Waves.
of my heart. Yeah,
the last time the UK won the Eurovision Song Contest.
God, I love Walking in Memphis.
And I'm
on my blue stage shoes and I step off the plane. I'm walking
in the land of the Mammoth Moon.
And I'm walking in Memphis. Again, a song, I only heard her version of that song, and then I realized it was another song later in my life. I thought Cher wrote Walking in Memphis.
Okay, we're really leading up to a fantastic double A side, but I do want to, in my another song that was released, apparently, for Comic Relief is this.
Guest list.
This is the only Pet Shop Boys song that I will accept. It is their song, Absolutely Fabulous. Fun song.
Me and my friend Millie were obsessed. Well, we were obsessed with Ab Fab as too young for it, and we were obsessed with that song.
Oh.
I used to know all of the line inserts from the show that were in that song. I used to know where they came and like what order they were in.
If I were a DJ, that would be like that, the Venga Bus, the Macarena, Gina G.
I can literally picture Adina going, lights, models, guest list.
Side note, before we get to my number one, of course, most favorite comic relief single of all time.
It's All About You by McFly, right?
Oh, 100%. Talking of Ab Fab, I don't want us to get confused comic relief with Children in Need.
No, of course not.
Very different. But do you ever remember when Joanna Lumley did like a striptease live on TV for Children in Need? I'm just going to play it for you now.
I remember Scylla doing one.
It's a little awkward, but we obviously love Joe Lum, so I'm just going to play it for you now. So that apparently happened. It's something like someone called in and said, I will donate. This is like in 1988 or 1993. No, 1983 for Children in Need, a separate charity telethon, also on the BBC. It was for the children. Someone called up and said, I'll give like 10,000 £10,000 if Joanna Lumley strips. And so Joanna Lumley heard, was like, okay, I'll do it. So she just strips to her racy, lacy underwear.
Oh, she's really game, isn't she?
No, she sure is.
I love her so fucking much.
Okay, number one, most important favorite comic relief single of all time. Double A side, Who Do You Think You Are? And Mama by the Spice Girls.
Now, I'm going to throw something out there.
I know what you're going to say.
I hate the song Mama.
You hate the song Mama?
You thought I was going to say that Who Do You Think You Are is an overplayed and annoying song, right?
Yeah.
No, I like Who Do You Think You Are. I don't like the song Mama.
Oh, I love both of them.
Mama, actually, I'm actually completely going back and work because I'm just remembering I really like the "You're loving me, I'm loving you,
the love is true,
guaranteed." So actually, okay, fine, I like Mama.
What about the little train noise? Okay, so
train noise. You're imagining like a little Christmas train going through a tunnel.
She used to be my only enemy and never let me be free, catching me in places that I knew I shouldn't be. Syncopation in that. But the lead single was Who Do You Think You Are? We all know it from Life.
Yeah, from being
the Brit Awards.
Yep.
Now the music video.
Yes.
I had a lot of comic relief shenanigans going on. Our girls of Spice wearing red noses, leaping around. And there were 5 other Spice Girls there. I'm going to challenge you, Frazer, to name the people who played the Spice Girls' alter egos.
Okay.
Who played...
So...
I'm going to go through them.
Oh, okay.
Who played Victoria, a.k.a. Posh?
That was Dawn French.
Correct. Who played Emma Bunton, a.k.a. Baby?
I can only really remember that French and Saunders were both in it. So Jennifer Saunders played Jerry, right?
Correct. Who else do you remember?
Was Ruby Wax in there?
Nope.
I'm in murky waters here because I
cannot believe you don't know who played Baby. Someone connected to Ab Fab.
Lulu?
Yes.
And so who's that leave? Sporty and Mel B.
Yeah.
And Scary.
Who played Sporty? Think of an anti-Sporty. Like the opposite.
Kathy Burke?
Correct. And then finally, playing Mel B was someone I didn't remember, Luella Gideon. She plays... Luella Gideon, she actually plays 2 very important nurses.
Yeah, she plays the nurse that wraps Eddie in the bandages.
Uh-huh. She also plays a nurse connected to the Spice Girls. She plays the nurse in Spice World the movie.
Oh, she does? Wow. I thought you meant she plays 2 nurses in Ab Fab, because I was going to say she's also in the hospital scene in Ab Fab, and she's an at-home nurse. I love that scene of Eddie getting wrapped in the bandages. And she's like, I don't care what you do.
We need to do a whole Ab Fab special.
Oh my God, we really do.
A whole episode. But I love this on Luella Gideon's IMDb, known for Spice World Nurse.
Yeah, great.
Done and done.
Yeah, she's the one. I know. I remember. They're like, what? She's like, what are you doing tonight? I'm gonna go see the Spice Girls at the Albert Hall. Better see you guys later.
Yeah. Okay, so what is the US equivalent of comic relief / red nose day? Now, comic relief does and did exist over here, but not as big.
And it's not as kind of like baked into the cultural zeitgeist
Exactly.
as much, is it?
So I have two for you.
Okay.
One was a suggestion from podcast nemesis Michael. So there's a woman called Sally Struthers. Mm-hmm. Do you know her?
I've heard that name.
Yeah. So apparently for 30 years, she was constantly trying to save children. And she did the Christian Children's Fund and Save the Children Foundation. She did like a whole television like thing, and it went on for ages. It became like such a thing that people used to parody it. And then I was like, oh, why doesn't that still go on? And apparently, when she was visiting one of the children who'd been adopted, she almost got kidnapped.
Oh my God.
So then she's like, do you know what? Between this and getting ridiculed by everyone, I'm just going to stop this now. So that was Sally Struthers. But then I found something called the Jerry Lewis MDA Labor Day Telethon.
Oh yeah, the Jerry Lewis Telethon. I've heard of that.
I've never heard of that before.
Yeah. I've heard. I literally only know it as like a cultural reference, and I still don't know what it is. But I know the Jerry Lewis Telethon was a big thing.
So apparently it was going on from 1966 to 2010.
Yep.
And it raised money for the Muscular Dystrophy Association,
Yeah.
MDA. And I struggle saying MDA because I either want to say
MDMA
or MDNA. Struggle. So I tried to look into it. It was going for a long time. Sure, fine. And then something just really jumped out. In the 2011 edition, Nigel Lithgow was brought on as a co-host.
Oh.
Nasty Nige.
Nasty Nigel. Wow, he really broke into America, didn't he?
Yeah. So I think that's pretty much it. I think that the US equivalent of comic relief / red nose day is the Jerry Lewis MDA Labor Day Telethon. You're welcome.
That was our episode. Before we go, we are going to play a little game of Welcome Not Welcome. I haven't prepared any, so it's really just going to be Ben asking me some questions.
Okay, welcome, not welcome. Phrase. The word Randy.
Oh, that's tough. 'Cause it does make me think of Austin Powers.
It does. Which weirdly is actually welcome, but not the bigger picture of Austin Powers.
Correct.
Which
Yes.
is difficult.
Yeah, we've discussed this, haven't we? That actually the Austin Powers movie is still really funny and really good.
Oh my god, it's great.
It's kind of like the original Scary Movie as well, like the first one. It's actually
Yeah.
like really, really, really funny and really
Yeah.
good. But you kind of just like you feel annoyed thinking about it. It's gone into like Borat territory where you're like, oh, Austin Powers is annoying, but it's funny.
Yeah. Calling someone Randy.
Because I also remember this is, you know, when you think you're really, really clever. I remember laughing when I saw Scream 2 because there's a moment. Oh no. I remember laughing when I saw Scream on VHS because one of the characters is called Randy, and there's a scene where Nev Campbell, where Sydney's talking to the killer on the phone. And she's like, oh, Randy, blah, blah. And the killer goes, that's because I'm not Randy. And I remember being like,
I know. But that was
I'm not Randy.
like, imagine someone in the UK being called Randy.
No, it just would never
No.
happen. It would
100%
never be
no.
called Randy.
I'm gonna say not welcome for Randy.
Yeah, I even though everything we just said made me feel great, I'm going to say not welcome.
Welcome or not welcome. SWAT. The word SWAT.
I love the word SWAT. What does it stand for? Is it an acronym?
But in the UK, it's a number of things. You can real geek like, oh, Frazer put his hand up in class. He's such a SWAT. Or if you're like studying for something, oh, I need to SWAT up. Need to SWAT up in geography before that test on cumulus nimbus clouds. You know,
I just like
Oxbow Lakes.
As I was looking at one of the examples I got was kids swatting for exams.
Swatting, and we should say SWOT.
Oh yeah, we're not talking about a SWAT team.
No,
Which I also don't know what that stands for either. Do you remember the movie SWAT with Colin Farrell? Oh,
was he really hot in it?
oh my god! I was about to say the peak of Colin Farrell. That doesn't exist. He's never peaked. He's literally been hot forever in every single capacity, and I think that. But it was real early days on the red carpet with Britney Spears, Colin Farrell. We're talking phone booth Colin Farrell. We're talking Minority Report Colin Farrell.
I need to remember Colin Farrell as someone people are like, oh, what kind of celebrity do you think's hot? I can never remember anyone.
Colin
Farrell.
Then, now,
Forever.
always, forever, every form.
Ghost of.
Ghost of, In the Afterlife. I've watched his sex tape, everything.
Colin Farrell, welcome. The word, verb, noun, everything SWAT. I think it's welcome.
Yeah.
But you know what is welcome? This episode and all of you for listening. Thank you so much for
back.
listening. Please get in touch on all our socials.
Yes.
Rate, review us.
Let us know about your sorority stories. I'm dying to hear about someone being in a sorority, a real American person.
Yeah.
And a fraternity, fine, but really only want to hear from like...
Only if it's hot. Only if the fraternity situation's hot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Sexy and gay. I'm not
Yeah.
interested in anything else.
Zachary, get in touch about San Francisco recommendations for our Whistle Stop One City tour.
We're gonna do a live show in San Fran just for you. Live show with one person in the audience.
That sounds really terrifying and quite threatening. Us just shouting at someone's face. Thank you all for listening, and as ever, you're welcome.
Bye.
Omega Beta Zeta.
You are right up my street.
Oh, you can't make me choose.
Igo by Toyota sponsors T4.
Fuck me, Lee Ryan's 13.
I remember we couldn't remember the word for table.